future of the future. We've heard of so many different futures, but now, finally, it's the future of you. As little children, we always wonder, when I grow up, will I have? Some of you guys are still thinking that, aren't you? Well, I have the secret. I learned 3 simple things we need to incorporate into our lives in order to have a fulfilled and happy life. Do you guys want to know the secret? You want to know? Okay, lean in. Have a plan. Eat dessert first. And avoid ruts. Now, to the teenagers over there, it does not mean plan to eat an assortment of desserts, okay? No, it's far more than that. It means that we have to live with intentionality. I learned this from a woman that I met on the other side of the world. It was 1983. I was living and going to school at Wagner High School at Clark Air Base, Philippines. I was sitting in my math class, sitting in a window actually, staring, oogling, the new boy that was studying under a tree. As I was looking at him, a woman came up behind me and she said, "What are you looking at?" "Ew, he's a cutie." And then she proceeded to walk to the front chalkboard and she wrote her name in big white letters, Mary Mras. She turned to the class, smiled, and then winked at me. That was the beginning of the most beautiful relationship I've ever had, besides my husband. Shh. Over the years, I learned that Mary was unlike any other woman I'd ever met. She would break out in a song at a drop of a hat. She loved Broadway music. She loved to teach inside of the classroom and outside of the classroom. She would speak multiple languages, just enough to get in trouble. She had lived around the world, particularly Taiwan, China, and where I met her in the Philippines. She was a Renaissance woman, and I wanted to be just like her. 10 years later, in 1993, Mary was no longer just my teacher. She was my mentor, my friend, and when that cute boy that was studying under the tree that I was looking at, he asked me to marry him. Ka-ching! She became my mother-in-law. Even with me watching him, she still liked me. It's good. But I remember the first time Michael, my husband, and I went to the in-laws' house for the very first time as a married couple. We arrived late into California, and Mary and my father-in-law, Tony, sat us at the dining room table. And they said, "What's your plan?" "Love will keep us together." No, they wanted a plan. It's like, well, but we're in love. Yeah, that's sweet. But you need to know, where are you going to go? If you are going to stay in the military, he was in the military, are you going to travel around the world with him? How many children are you going to have? If you can't have children, are you going to adopt? There are a lot of questions they had. It was really hard to sleep that night. Lesson 1 that I learned from Mary was, you have to have a plan. Always have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're just wandering. It's a dream. But if you have a plan for every possible math equation that will happen in your life, you're set. Just be aware that things may not happen the way you plan. Be ready to jump on it. The next morning, we woke up at, I remember this, 6 in the morning, and Mary had turned on incredibly loud Broadway music, and she was singing at the top of her lungs in the kitchen. Well, being the good newlywed couple, I followed my nose to the kitchen. smelling the aroma of fresh coffee. As I was coming around the corner to the kitchen, my new husband came tearing past me, slid into the kitchen, and said, "Woohoo, Mom is great. She got us chocolate cake." I don't know about you, but I'm a Filipino. I was looking for bacon. I get into the kitchen, and no joke, it was a pot of coffee, a chocolate cake, and a fresh strawberry cake. That was lesson 2 to incorporate into my life. Eat dessert first. Not just literally like we were, but figuratively. Dessert. All the wonderful things in life. Like everyone was talking about earlier. Family, passion, find what you love. That's dessert. If it means taking a nap, take a nap. Some of you might want to do that right now. It's been a long day. But in Mary's case, breakfast wasn't that important. She wanted to spend time with us, therefore the dessert was make it simple, enjoy her time with us. Eat dessert first. That night, we went out to dinner, and I learned a whole nother lesson that I was not prepared to have. We decided on a restaurant that we all liked. Now, what do you all do when you go to a restaurant that you like? You get the exact same thing you always do, don't you? Oh, I know the salmon's great. I'm gonna get that, right? Yeah, eat dinner with Mary. We all ordered what we wanted. And it was just like the Mad Hatter scene from Alice in Wonderland. Switch plates, everybody eat something new. What? I want salmon, dang it. I don't want that. She made us switch plates. Even if it comes to just simple food, I challenge you tonight to do that. When you go out, don't order what you normally get. It messes you up. Lesson 3, stay out of ruts. In Mary's terms, anytime you said, "Oh, I always," or "we always," that's a rut. Avoid ruts. You see, we all have a plan, right? Let's put a plan right here. We all have a plan. We all want to enjoy getting to our plan, right? The journey. But here we are, waking up, going to work, coming home, go to sleep, wake up. How many of us are guilty of that? We do it all the time. Where are your dreams? Where are your plans? Until you step out and take a risk, that 30 seconds of making a difference, that 30 seconds of fear, do it every day. So as you're stuck in your rut and you take a new route to work, you move an inch out of that rut. See what I'm doing? Try something different every day. And it doesn't have to be your entire meal, just a little bit. So you can get to your purpose, to your goals, to what you want, your dreams. As long as you stay in the rut, you'll never move. And that's what Mary taught us that day. Avoid ruts. The difference between a rut and a grave are the dimensions that you build it. Smart lady, huh? Now you know why I wanted to be like her. Now with Mary, I idolized that woman. I followed her around. I did everything I could that she did because she was very unique. She made this purposeful, intentional living thing look like nothing, like a purchased chocolate cake like she did. She made it easy. And over the next several years, let's say 1998, I used to get a phone call every week from Mary checking on my progress of my plan, eating dessert first, and staying out of ruts. She was great keeping me on that. And in 1998, I got a phone call from her. And I'm so excited to get a phone call from my idol. And she says, "Hey, can you guys come down for Christmas to California?" I'm like, "Yeah, our baby should be about 3 months. It should be perfect by then." She says, "Oh, great." I said, "Well, what's the big deal?" And she said, "Well, good news or the bad news?" What do we say? Bad news. I'll take the bad news then. She says, I have leukemia. At that moment, those were the worst words I've ever heard in my life. Here was this woman that I thought was the epitome of life, and she had a death sentence. And as I was crying in my head and lost and just lost, Mary broke the silence with, I'm not dead yet. Glass half full kind of gal. No, not half full at all. It's refillable. Remember that. Nothing's as bad as you think it is. You can make it out. And that's what she said. She said, I am not giving up. Do not write my death sentence. I am going to fight. And that's what she did. She ate up life. She ate up everything of the people around her. And she ate her butter pecan ice cream. That is until the chemo drugs put so many sores on her mouth that she couldn't enjoy the food. She drank in the love and the laughter and the people around her. And her red wine. You got priorities here. Until the cancer made it too difficult for her to ingest it. She read her plethora of books. The woman was a voracious reader. She did not believe in letting things settle. She would read one really complex book to broaden her mind, and then she would read a complete piece of trash to relax her mind. But she read them until the cancer took away her vision so much that she couldn't read the text anymore. And then she got books on tape. Right? There's always a way. And she had this smile. Well, she has a smile that brightens up a room. And she shared it with everyone she met until the chemo and the cancer together made her swell up so much that her eyes were swollen shut. She couldn't even tell if anyone was there, but she smiled anyways. Mary being Mary. Now, 3 years after her diagnosis, I can honestly tell you, Mary beat her cancer. Yay! Yay for stubborn women. But she beat it. But I'm not joking about her body was not the same. It ravished, that cancer ravished her to leave her as a shell of a human with a mind as sharp as a tack. And Mary was wheeling around the kitchen one day looking for something yummy to eat. And she settled upon butter pecan ice cream. And when my father-in-law came home, he found her at the dining room table with an entire box of butter pecan ice cream and a spoon. And he said, Mary, what's going on? Why do you have that pained look on your face? And she said, well, I wanted butter pecan ice cream and I couldn't reach it, so I took a spoon and I knocked it out of the freezer and it fell on my leg. And now my leg hurts. Well, my father-in-law, being the good husband he is, he takes a peek at this bruise on her leg and he says, Mary, we have got to get you to the hospital. And she says, no, I'm done. I just need to rest. Leave me alone. I just need to rest. And as a good husband that he is, remember that good husbands, he wanted to wheel her away and put her in bed, and he tucked her in. Good husbands do that. He kissed her goodnight, and before he left her, she said, Tony, I love that butter pecan ice cream so much. It'll be the death of me. That was September 2001. Mary never woke up. Death by butter pecan ice cream? What a merry way to go! Sign me up. But that was Mary. And when I went to the funeral, I noticed that we were all crying and crying. And that's when I figured, We weren't crying because she lost life. She didn't start living because she got a disease. She had always lived that way. She took life by the horns and rode hard, never giving up. She did it before the death sentence, right? How many of us could ever say we could be so brave in light of such a sentence? I stood at that funeral and watched all the people coming and going from every walk of life, every age group. She had like gangster rappers in there. I mean, it was really cool to see how she touched so many lives, so much significance in one person, a teacher. I swore from that day on that I was going to do my darndest to do like Mary, eat, drink, and be merry. I was doing pretty well, too. Last year, May 2014, I was sitting at my computer screen, overwhelmed, and I didn't know how deep I had gotten. And I was remembering, oh my God, how did I get into this rut? When my phone rang, and it was time for me to pick up my kids. And I needed to be good mom, and I had to channel myself down, so I, in good Mary fashion, put on some music in my car and started driving to pick up my kids from school. And I was driving along, minding my business, when out of the orange-colored sky, flash, bam, alakazam, my life flashed before my eyes, when another car ran a stop sign and hit me. When I woke up, I told the paramedics I was fine. But as the days went by, I started losing vocabulary words, then memories, and then my ability to speak. I was sitting in my house, trapped in my mind, and I was telling God, why? Out of everything you can take from me, you take my mother-in-law, and now you take my voice. I'm sorry if you haven't noticed, I like to talk. This was really hard for me. My husband was probably pretty happy about it. But I sat there crying and moping about the loss of life and that I might as well be dead if I can't talk. When I heard, "You're not dead yet," and I got up. I brushed myself up and I decided I was going to do everything in my power to get my brain back so my brain would communicate with my mouth. Surprise! I share this story with you today because don't wait for something tragic to happen to you. Listen to so many of the stories that we had. That's exactly what we did. We waited for a wake-up call. Your wake-up call is now. Today starts your future. You need to have a plan. Enjoy the path on the way, the desserts, and avoid ruts at all cost. I was lucky to know and have that this accident was my amazing grace. And how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you.